had a guy who was with Stats Canada and was invited to Treasury Board, which was creating a new division, planning branch of the Treasury Board. And they created these efficiency and evaluation divisions within the planning branch. Maurice Lafontaine, who was also from Stats Canada, went there as the director. He invited John Edwards to come, and John says, let's bring in Michael. So I went in. First of all, they did a briefing for all those across the public service who were interested. I wasn't interested. John says, Michael, come and listen. After the briefing, they said, who would like to be interviewed for a job? I said, huh? John says, Michael, why are you not interested? I said, I just listened to a lecture, a briefing that you people, it went in here, out here, and honestly, I did not know anything what they were, and people were asking questions, brilliant questions, but I didn't understand. You know, the response I got, we want people like you who said it and will teach you from scratch, not people that come and say they know everything and become obstacles for us in what we want to do. So I said, all right. So we put your name to be interviewed by Public Service Commission. I said, but you make it after 5. They said, what? I said, I work for Stats Canada. I can't leave my job and come for an interview for another job in the... He said, but it's the same government, it's federal government. I didn't know. I said, please, please, could you make it 5? So people had to do overtime for me. Public Service Commission, the Treasury Board, to interview me. At the interview, one of the questions from, I think, Ted McNamara or John, Michael, what's the difference between efficiency and effectiveness? My answer was, I told you before that I don't know. And now you're asking me this question in an interview. They say, give it a guess, just try. So I gave a response. And I walked away. I said, this bloody waste of time. Shortly after, I backtrack again. While I was with Stats, it's now called Statistics Canada. Then it was Dominion Bureau of Statistics. Alex Foti called me and says, Michael, you know, you're a brilliant statistician, but these people here, mostly economists in my national accounts, they don't regard anybody who doesn't have an economic degree as knowledgeable. So I would like you to do master's degree at Carleton. We will pay. I said, is that right? So I had registered with Carleton University, and I was taking other conditions. Courses are daytime. I leave my work, I go. But the condition is that when you come back, you do your work. But if classes are during work hours, go to classes. So after the interview now to Treasury Board, after the interview by Public Service Commission, I got a letter which offered me a job, 12,000 something. We're saying if you guys, and they underfill the position, if you do well within a year, you get promoted and you start getting a salary of 14,000. I said, So I showed it to my boss, and he said, we'll give you 13,000 right away. And when you do your master's degree, you are up there 18,000. So I called Treasury Board. I said, John, I don't know what to do. John, as a friend, kept me on the phone for over an hour explaining. He says, yes, that's they'll give you 13,000. But Mike, mark my word, you'll be marking time there. They'll give you the 18,000 when you graduate, when you get your master's degree. But Treasury Board, you have the opportunity to see the government because Treasury Board is the management arm of the federal government. They dole out the money to departments. Not they dole out, but they have to review each budget, each departmental budget. So when I got that letter, I was goofing off. I left Carleton University after my course. I said, why should I drive to the office? Let me just come home and, you know, I got home. There was this letter of 12,500. I said, that made up my mind. This, as I said, Stats Canada was prepared to make it 13, but I was convinced to move on. That's how in less than 2 years.
So you left Alex?
Eh?
You left Alex for the other...
Alex, just before then, Alex was appointed director of another division. And the guy, Guy Lafleur, who took over, promised heaven and earth. And he was going to do that. And my Director General, a small German guy, very hot, says, Michael, the job you've done here, nobody has done it before. I will let you go, but if you don't like it at Treasury Board, just give me a call. You don't have to write, just give me a call and we are back to StatsCan.
What if Alex hadn't gone? Would you have stayed back or you still have gone to Treasury?
Oh, I was convinced by so many people to go to Treasury Board. I had advice from a guy, most of these people are dead now.
What about Alex? Is he still alive?
He died a day before my wife passed away. Oh, it's funny, his son called me and I looked at the screen, I said, oh, Alex, because it shows on my screen Alex Voti's phone. Alex, how did you hear? I thought he heard that my wife has passed away. But his son says, no, the son is a medical doctor. He says, no, my dad spoke highly of you and specifically requested that I be informed when he passed. He says, every day Alex will come home, Mike Adibe this, Mike Adibe. I said, oh, is that right? So Alex is gone. On the 1st of March, my wife 2nd of March. Oh. Just like that. So John Edwards, with whom I used to compare, became deputy minister of different departments, correctional services, other departments. Maurice Lafontaine, they all rose up. But at Treasury Board, I had a wonderful experience. Yeah, when we started the operational performance measurement, my God, we worked like jackasses. And I was doing my studies, talking about studies. When I resisted joining the Treasury Board, the assistant director, Ed Mastronadi, he says, Michael, why are you start the DBS every time? I said, they are paying my tuition fees. I'm doing my master's program. If you people do it, I'll join you. That was before he says, we'll pay. Do they pay for your books? I say, books? I buy my book. No, we'll pay for your books. That's part of the conditions that actually enticed me to join Treasury Board. And in all my work career, I worked in the Central Statistical Office in London, England, Federal Office of Statistics, Nigeria, Lagos, Nigeria, IMF Statistics Division, in charge of the one page of the African page of the IFS. But in Canada, I worked for Stats, Treasury Board, Controller General, Auditor General. Treasury Board was where I had the most fantastic experience. It gave me opportunity to get to know the country, the government machinery, every department, because they all, you have to know them. And you learn it like book, just like that, without effort. It gave me opportunity to travel throughout Canada. When I was helping DND, Department of National Defense, I was assigned to a general. And this guy says to me, Michael, you are in charge. I'm only assigned to you to guide you within the Department of National Defense. We were to travel to Cold Lake, Alberta, and subsequently to Esquimalt in BC. And General Brown, he says, I'll get an executive jet for us to go. I didn't know. So in those days, Ottawa Airport, there is a section for the military. There was a military base there. So I got there, a jet plane, you know, small jets, executive jets. And I walked up to the tarmac. The captain who was flying the jet was saluting me, and I saluted him, and I said, after you, sir. General Brown told me, he says, you are in charge. This is your jet. This is your plane. This is the pilot. You are in charge. He says, going. So I was feeling like a somebody. I got into the plane looking for configuration of seats. No, it's like walking into an office. Big desk, and this guy dressed in white, sir, what shall I bring you? And I was going to get my notes and start writing. They were offering drinks. It was a fabulous experience walking in the Treasury Board. I tell you, I got to know Canada.
Excellent.
From coast to coast to coast, traveling like somebody. And I said, why, General Brown? He says, your position is equivalent to that of a colonel. So when I go there, if you're a civilian, they get to know your position in the government. And I was just a level below the senior executive level. They call it the penultimate level, AS8 then. So I traveled like a royalty. Oh. I got to know Canada, the government, the workings of, and Public Service Commission, where my wife worked. Talking about work experience. My wife, who was a mother of 4, when we got here, we were thinking, what should you get into, nursing? Or I said, no, secretary. I don't want you to be a nurse. You go night duty, you are coming back, I'm going to work. I said, no, that's disruptive. Please, secretarial job. When she graduated, a colleague, George Palamidis, a Greek immigrant, I said, George, my wife has, he says, don't worry, I'll show you. He got the government phone book, Kapamaka, you know, in Greek. He got the numbers, says, ask your wife to call Public Service Commission. She called, they called her for interview, got a job. So things were just, people help people. Sorry, I don't want to start making contrast. Let me focus on my experience, work in the federal government. It's just fulfilling, educational. It's just, you want to study? Go study. I take my work seriously, very seriously. And I have a daughter, Franca. She's just like me. I believe in work ethics. I inculcate that in my children. You don't get anything for free. You got to work. And I always tell them, you work as hard as if everything depends on you. But you pray knowing that everything depends on God. I had a colleague in Treasury Board, Stan Dubas. He became deputy minister. He'd been to Nigeria. He called me one day at the toilet. He says, Michael, you work yourself too hard. I understand. I know where you're coming from. But please pace yourself. I took a course on stress management. And the first question they ask is, why do you do that? Why do you want to take this course? I say, I don't want to be a stressor for my wife and children. I don't want to be a slave driver, push, 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 and they get stressed out. guess what? I'm still alive. I have no, my wife died of stroke, but that's not from stress from me. It's something we... So back to work ethics, I ask people, focus. We get distracted right, left, and from so many areas. But don't come and scatter your energies right, left, and center. Be positive. I tell you, you are quite right. Work ethic is very important. From Treasury Board, I went to Comptroller General, from there to Auditor General. Each case, people there invite me. Ted McNamara, one of our senior people at Treasury Board, when he went to Auditor General, said, Mike, come, we have a position for you. I said, you know, human nature, you stay in a place, you become complacent, you become comfortable. I said, I don't want to move. But those moves are the things I think I'm blessed. Whenever you move, and if you have the right work ethic, like you said, you want to learn. And the more you learn, you say, oh, I didn't know this. You get engrossed in the job, you do your best, and your best shines.
Okay.
With Auditor General, again, I was blessed. Before I was made a principal, that's en français, principal director, I was assigned a job, a project, which they give me a job, you see, this gun is, I said, no, I don't want this. Who am I? I'm telling my bosses I don't want to do this project. I don't. Why do I reject? A lady is the assistant chief statistician, and Bushman Michael did not want to work for a woman. We work for the government, but under a woman. You see how stupid I was. Bonnie Miller. So they got me this job to audit International Development Research Center. And I was told, you know, this is an international job, it will get you to travel. I said, give me. And I took on the job, the project. Who's in charge? It was Bonnie Miller, but I had already accepted, I couldn't go back, and I still would have accepted because it gave me the opportunity to, again, go around the globe. And when I had my team, one guy from Australia was begging me, David Burgess, Mike, please let me do the Eastern, the Philippines, and Australia. I said, you got it. I'm going to Africa. I'll go. I went to Dakar, Kenya, Ethiopia, of course, selected projects in Nigeria, Ibadan and Calabar. That's what brought me to Calabar. I met Francis Umenyi and others. What else can I ask for? With Nigeria, I had gone to Ethiopia. Of course, England was every year we go for meetings. But I had gone to Ethiopia in 1963 for African statisticians meetings. So going back to Ethiopia, 1983 again, as a Canadian, you know, with Canadian diplomatic passport, and it's mind-boggling.
Anyway, it's interesting to hear this angle about your work and your work ethic. I would like us to also talk about your integration into the community. And we'll usually this program, what
Mr.
Ifedi is doing, it's targeted at the African, Caribbean, and Black community, and it's for everyone to learn. And our focus, we talk about your work ethic, but most importantly, we talk about your integration into the community, and we also want to learn from you what community was like at the time and your experiences. Now, we've finished with the office angle. Let's come to the community. What was it like for the immigrant community at that time?
Yeah, again, I did not have any idea. I couldn't comment on the immigrant community. We came here, focused on job. And believe you me, weekends, my wife and I, before the children joined us, we'll be if we see a black man, we pack. Oh, sir or madam, please, where are you from? And they look at you, what's this? You know, and looking back, I feel if somebody stops me and starts asking, where are you from? You'll be wondering, why is this guy? We were searching. I met when Alex suggested I do master's degree program. I went to Carlton, and I was at Carlton bookstore, and somebody tapped me, Emmanuel Omenuko, somebody I used to know in Lagos. Emma tapped me. He says, Mike, what are you doing here? Emma smokes pipe, so he goes like, so I told him my story, how I was with Stats Canada. He says, oh, that's a Nigerian, an Igbo guy, and a friend I knew in Lagos. That's the first contact. Then he said to me, oh, there's this Nigerian fellow here, Joe Enwerekowe. He introduced me to Joe. And then Biafra War, of course, was there. So we started the Biafran Association. Another angle, we went to Montreal. And while we were there, he says, come, let me introduce you to somebody whose child is being baptized, Peter Wanfo. Emeka, the son, was being baptized. So we went in there. Peter, somebody I knew, we grabbed each other. We were St. Bridget's School, Enugu, the same team, relay race team. So that I started getting to know our people closely. Then we had the Biafra Association, which is the form. Biafra is no longer there.
Here is an outstanding person who says, this is my own story.
Exactly, exactly. And we are all different. We are all unique, idiosyncratic. I tell you, I have seen within families, people, we all came here with different objectives. I have friends way back from Nigeria. I mentioned Peter Wanfo, who's dead now. He came here on Nigeria federal government scholarship. I have another friend in BC, Vancouver. He knows him, the Okumas, Pius and Teresa. They came here on scholarship, Nigeria federal government scholarship. But when the war broke out, why would they go home? They had different experience. They had some kind of challenges to get landed immigrant visa. See, I came here as a landed immigrant. There are good people focused on their objectives, which was to study, get qualified, get back home. They had jobs in Nigeria. It's not like they are here studying to go back. That's a different experience. There are others who came here to do business. There are others who come in and say, we are refugees. We are seeking asylum. So each person has a different reason for coming. And each person has different attitude towards life and towards his fellow human beings. And all these factors contribute to how we see life.
Excellent. So that, you see, now this is the point I was trying to get out of you. So oftentimes as reporters, we're listening to your story and we're listening to how we're going to write the story. So we try to bring out perspectives that once we put out there, people will understand where you're coming from and not misinterpret your story. So thank you very much for clarifying that. Let's talk about family.
I have 4 children. I'm blessed. 2 boys, 2 girls. When they came, when they joined us, I was shouting to people, we are so blessed. They are paired. So we have, my wife and I, we have our family room, the girls, their room, the boys, their rooms. And then we have 1 spare room, which I used to use as my study. Now everything is downstairs because of computer age, you want to hook up. But we used it as my study and guest room. So family, we are blessed. in the pairing of our children, in their behavior. When they came and went to Regina Public School, they were considered outstanding. The principal, a lady, called me and says, each time they call from school, my wife and I, we panic. Have the children done something wrong? And the lady says, oh, no, 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 no. On the contrary, they are exceptional and would like you to come and talk to the teachers, lecture them on how you raise these children to behave so well. I said, hold it, madam. It's God who raised them through the instrument of our parents. We weren't there. My father, my mother, my wife's father and mother, primarily the father. Those are the people that raised our children, inculcated in them the idea of respect for elders, of obeying instructions. They go to the doctor, they jab them needle. Oh, they say to the nurse, thank you. They say, what kind of children are these? Because they know you are doing them good. They've been told it's good for them.